when I started wholesale, I was around the $80,000 mark. And what kind of propelled my growth there is, well, one is getting experience in doing wholesale, and two is I kind of leveraged an Amazon loan. It was a fairly big loan, and that kind of propelled me from now we're about doing around 200,000 a month in revenue.
E-commerce is the greatest business opportunity of our generation.
What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Ecom Unlimited podcast. It is Cajua here with Josh, and our guest today is Keith. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Thanks for the invite. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for making time out of your busy schedule to chop it up with us. All right, so let's dive right in. Keith, who are you? How did you get into e-commerce, and how long you been in the game?
So my name is Keith, and I've been in the game for almost 2 years now. I started in May of 2022. I was just like looking up ways of how to make money online. Actually, funny thing is, I think I was really into trying to get into PL at first, because that's the most attractive thing. You know, you got your typical guru on YouTube saying like, "Oh, you should do PL." Right, because it's like passive income, you know, it's the shiny object, right? So I was like, I think I like tried to download Jungle Scout, and I didn't really go too far with it. I realized, well, I have to drop a lot of money before I see any results. I somehow found myself watching Warner's videos and Miles as well, and they're doing OA, and I thought this makes a lot more sense for me knowing nothing, because you know I can just walk into Walmart or a random store and see if they sell well on Amazon, right? No upfront capital needed. So I did RA for a while, and I got sick of it pretty quickly. I think I did that for about a month or two. I think one of my older days, I remember walking to Trader Joe's, and I literally would take pictures of everything, and then go home and like zoom in on the pictures one by one and see if they sold on Amazon. And that was such a tedious process. I remember it was so much hard work for like so little gain. And then I would also be embarrassed of like, you know, it's just embarrassing. Like you walk into Trader Joe's, you get like 40 hot sauces or some random like flax seeds or something, and it's just like, what am I even doing? You know, what am I doing here? So I quickly abandoned that, and then I just tried to do OA, just like religiously watching OA videos from either Warner's or Miles, and then I think I found myself around like doing 20K per month in revenue at that point. And then for me, things started to take off when I realized this can work, as like there's the potential there to make a good amount of money here. And that's when I invested in Warner's program, his advanced program, where he would kind of just dump all his knowledge into anyone who, you know, paid for the program. And I would say that's like the number one thing that skyrocketed in my growth. I think I went from doing around 20,000. That's because of Warner. I also hired my first VA or team member, and now we're a team of 5. I have 3 sources and an admin, and we've done about we're around 1.8 million in the last 12 months. We're kind of steady around 200K revenue. But yeah, it's been I kind of skipped over a lot there. I mean, I think it was just a lot of like investing time and money into like really digesting like these like Warner and a bunch of other sellers who know a lot more than me. That's around the time I joined Twitter as well, and you know, everything has just been like helping my knowledge as a seller. Like you learn so many things. You have so many things to digest and learn as a seller that I didn't know before. I was only working within my own bubble. So I think if I hadn't like put myself out there a little bit, like on Twitter, and exposed myself to all these new sellers, and everyone's willing to share like a lot of information, yeah, I wouldn't be where I am today. So it's been a pretty good journey so far, and we're only going up from here.
That's
Love
awesome.
it.
So
That's great, man.
So when did you first start? So what year was that?
That was 2022,
Okay,
May
2022.
2022. Yeah.
So May 2022. Walk us through maybe some like revenue and like over like the years. Did it like, I know you start with RA, so it was like maybe like the first year you weren't as much as like 1.8 and then you scaled into 1.8. Like kind of walk us through that a little bit.
Okay, so my first 3 months, my first 6 months, I slowly scaled up to 20K. I mean, how much was I doing? All right, I'm trying to think back here. I think I wasn't less than 10,000 a month in revenue. Like it was just like so much work driving around and picking up things and scanning. Like it was tough for me. I mean, people can make it work, but it just wasn't for me. I was just like physically tired all the time, tired of prepping. That's when I started looking to prep centers, and then I was able to kind of with my own knowledge and just YouTube videos, I was able to hit that 20K mark.
Cool.
But like I knew I was missing on more.
Yeah,
I knew I didn't. I kind of knew how much I didn't know, and that's kind of why I wanted to like accelerate the learning process by investing in a course.
Right. But
And
with free knowledge, you got with free knowledge in your own action, you were able to do 20,000 in revenue per month within 6 months, which is crazy.
mhm,
Yeah, it speaks to the power of the opportunity and just taking action.
for sure,
And
no,
then,
it really just is. Yeah.
Yeah, and then real quick for anyone if you're listening to this for the first time, so RA is retail arbitrage, going to stores, buying stuff, flipping it, selling it on Amazon. OA is online arbitrage, buying from websites. Private label is building your own brand and launching that on Amazon. And I don't know if you know this about us, but we actually started with private label too, which is kind of funny. We did it backwards from how you quote unquote should do it, but that's a different story.
But you guys went farther than I did, right? Because I kind of gave up after like a month. I didn't even go through with it.
Yeah, we did it for like 2-3 years, about maybe more actually. Yeah. We launched 2 products.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So what business model do you use like specifically now?
Right now we're doing a mix of OA and wholesale.
Okay.
Since around June of last year, 2023 is when I started to pick up wholesale. Kind of the same. I kind of took it at the same approach as I did OA. I invested some courses, especially Corey Gannon's Wholesale Challenge was a big help, and really it's just I knew like it's hard at first. Wholesale is like the step up right from OA. It's like just like OA is a step up from RA. Well, that's how I see it anyway. People can't disagree with that, but I mean, when you do RA for a while, you're thinking, wow, this is hard to scale, right? Like you have to drive around and stuff. Like that's so much work. How do you even track everything? And then OA is like, oh, you got these you're limited by order quantity. You get cancels here and there. You have so many orders to track. Got thousands of lines in your spreadsheet. I mean, it's doable, but there's something better. I mean, it's wholesale. For me at the time, and I kind of just treated it the same way. Like I wanted to accelerate my learning process. I wanted to invest in some resources, and with that, just apply and execute, and just keep at it. Because it's scary at first, but I would not even say I'm like that good at wholesale right now. It's just we have a few suppliers now, and we're doing pretty well for ourselves. But there's still a long way to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I love what you said about accelerating your learning process. I'm going to shelve that though. I want to go back to something else that you said. You started doing wholesale June 2023. So you had been doing RA for 6 months, and then you transitioned to OA in the beginning of June of 2023?
I was doing RA for about 1 or 2 months, and then
1 or 2 months.
OA for another, I think about 8 to 10 months. Yeah, okay. OA for another 8 to 10 months.
Got it. So how big did you scale the business's revenue on a monthly basis before you started doing wholesale? Like just OA, what did you get your revenue numbers to?
Just OA, I was around the $80,000 a month mark, around there, 80 to 90, and that's when I started thinking, okay, OA is starting to become a little hard to manage with all the orders coming through, and that's just when I decided I want to branch out into wholesale as well. We're still doing OA right now. In terms of our revenue split, we're about 30% OA right now and 70% wholesale.
Okay, so now we do want to slowly
move. Yeah, we do want to move probably 90% towards wholesale. I think OA is still a really good opportunity in Q4. Over the course of the year, it's like not as good, but Q4 was huge for us in 2023. So when I started wholesale, I was around the $80,000 mark, and actually, what kind of propelled my growth there is, well, one is getting experience in doing wholesale, and two is I kind of leveraged an Amazon loan. It was a fairly big loan, and that kind of propelled me from, I was doing around 100,000 at that point, and now we're about doing around 200,000 a month in revenue, and that's mostly because of the loan that I took back in November in 2023.
Okay, yeah, got to spend money to make money.
That's right.
So, we're getting to 80,000 a month doing online arbitrage, what did your team look like at that point? Because you mentioned that you have 4 VAs. Did you have 4 VAs at that point, or was it just one sourcer? Like, what was your team like?
My first VA I hired around March of 2023, and my second VA was an admin, actually, both from Fast Track. Because I didn't know anything at the time. I kind of wanted to understand like the hiring process, and I kind of just wanted something out of the box, like someone who kind of understands the fundamentals already, and that all I really need to do is teach what I know in sourcing and have them apply it. And it's kind of like, it's just another Fast Track, right? I guess it's pretty my whole story is like I'll pay some money up front to reduce the time I'm spending, right? Because people do recommend like there's tools like Online Jobs PH or Upwork or all these other platforms, but I mean, really, I didn't know anything, and I'd rather just just get something, get a team member fast and learn as I go. I don't think I will do. It's not. I wouldn't do it because I've already done so much hiring for my first few team members. So I don't think it makes sense anymore. But because I have that experience, right?
Right, for sure. And now, what are all the different roles in your team? So obviously the admin and sourcers. How many of them are OA? How many of them are wholesale?
So the full story is my first VA I had doing OA only, and then 3 months later ish, I hired my first admin. That's when I was starting to get tired of, you got all these purchases, you got to log them to the prep center or portal or whatever. You got to input like, your order numbers and the quantities. Like that was getting tiring. So that's the second thing I outsourced, and then 2 months later after that, I think it was around July of 2023. So I was already kind of starting doing wholesale a little bit, but I hired 2 more VAs for doing online arbitrage. And there's a reason why I hired 2 at once at that point, and that's because I knew Q4 was coming up, and I wanted to have 3 sourcers, fully trained basically before Q4 started.
That's smart.
And because that was the only time I think I don't want to be training and hiring while we're in Q4, like in the midst of Q4, like October or November, the sales are going on. I want sources who already know what to look for. So that's why I hired 2 at that point. And then right before, let's see, around November, we were still doing around 100,000 in revenue a month. We had 3 sourcers. They were only doing OA at the time. It was just me doing wholesale, because I was still learning it. And that's around the time I took another loan because, again, Q4 is coming up. I want to maximize the opportunity there. And I mean, long story short, we had a great Q4. We did 350,000 in December. So it was a good Q4 for us.
Absolutely crushed it. And that was majority OA?
I think it was around 60. It's hard to say. I think it was around 60% OA, 40% wholesale. It was mostly OA for sure.
Okay.
Mostly OA.
Those are monster numbers, man. That's awesome. Okay. All right. So kind of touched on the OA side of things, and then now transitioning into wholesale. So you said you did Corey's wholesale challenge again to accelerate that learning process, which I love that, investing in knowledge so that you can scale quicker. And obviously it worked very well for you. After you took the challenge, what was the next immediate action steps that you took there?
So the first thing I did was create a sheet and make a big list of distributors and brands, and I kind of just went through what I'm already selling on OA. I'll look at these brands and see if I can find distributors for them. I did a bunch of random things. I think first thing I did try. Actually, the advice that people normally give is look for local distributors first, but I didn't really do that. So I use a prep center. That's why I didn't do that. I'm full prep center for everything, and that's why I didn't go the local route. Because I want to have a commercial address. So what I did was I looked for distributors and suppliers that are close to my prep center, and at least in the general vicinity. Like my prep center is on the East Coast, so I'll look for distributors and suppliers on the East Coast, right? Somewhere where it makes sense. And I just made a big list of suppliers. Use Google. I mainly use Google search. I'll just say category, distributor or supplier, wholesale, like these keywords, and then the location, like state or city, state and city. And I just did that for a few. I did that for a few weeks, and then I just started using the email templates as well, and started reaching out like that. And I did some cold calls. Can't say I'm not good at cold calling, but sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So, but yeah, that's how I was able to land a few accounts. I consider myself like a very good sales guy, but was able to land some accounts, and here we are. Actually, one of my best accounts was landed by accident. Actually,
I love this.
I was just ordering a crap ton away, and they reached out to me themselves. So I got lucky there. So still a supplier I buy from regularly right now.
So it was a website that was actually a wholesaler?
Their own OA, they have a storefront, but they also have a wholesale program. So they realized I ordered like 2,000 units away, and then they're like, "Hey, we have a wholesale program. How about you order here instead?" Something like that. So it's pretty funny.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So talk to us, so how much was like your first PO when you usually reach out to these like distributors? Like how much are you usually like requesting in product?
I like to go pretty small. Maybe like a little bit over the MOQ, whatever it may be. Really just want to make sure like everything's good, like the product's good, like the lead time everything goes as expected. And also I'm not really expecting like any profit on the first order. I'm just kind of seeing like, is this work? Can we work with this? Like, is it 5% ROI? I'll take it. I don't really care for the first PO, but then we need to slowly ramp up to better pricing.
Absolutely. So your kind of storefront does around like 200K a month. How many like suppliers are you ordering from every month to get an account as big as that?
Right now we mainly order from only 3 suppliers right now.
Okay.
So we're kind of spread a little. Was it narrow? We're a little narrow. Like I think most people around 5 is probably like what people would say is like a good amount. We don't order from that many suppliers right now.
Gotcha. That's really cool. Makes it easy.
Yeah. It's also the fact that like the more you spend with the supplier, the better the relationship gets. So in my opinion, I think 3 is like a really good number. 3 suppliers.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so we always like to ask, what's your largest PO to date, and how scary was that kind of sending that money over?
I think the largest was around, I think it's around 35 to 40 grand was my largest so far.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty scary at the time, but I mean, everything has went well in the past, so I wasn't really that worried.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is scary, but at the same time, when I look back when I first was doing OA, I would spend like $1,000, and I was more freaked out then, 100%. When I was first doing OA, like
100%.
I just spent $1,000 or $2,000 in one day doing online arbitrage. I was way more freaked out then than when I did my biggest PO, to be honest, because you kind of just lose your sensitivity there. Like you're just used to it.
Yeah. Did you just start dropping people's yearly salaries on the Amex and it doesn't even phase you?
Yeah.
You start dropping BMWs.
Just cars, down payments, left and right.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. So how long were you scaling up until you decided to start taking money out of the business and either to invest into other businesses or to start paying yourself a salary as the business owner?
Let's see here. No, I'm trying to think back here. No, I haven't taken out a single dollar from my business yet. The only things I have been taking out are cashback extension payouts and credit card cashback payouts. So
Dang,
I'm kind of in a lucky situation where I don't have to spend that much to for living expenses. So I've just been investing everything except cashback.
Yeah,
I'm
but look,
actually able to pay off a lot of expenses just with cashback.
that's
So it's
crazy.
kind of crazy.
yeah, and that's one of the beautiful things about OA that I still like about OA that wholesale doesn't give you. Just when the 10% Rakuten is on, or the
Yeah, yeah,
15% Be Frugal on Black Friday, and you're just like, oh man, I'm just making free money just for
yeah.
buying stuff.
It feels great, honestly. Like
Yeah,
that's like one thing you can't drop away. That might be the only thing that keeps me in OA right now. Like the cashback is just crazy.
yeah, for sure. Do you have a day job as well, or are you doing this full time?
I have a day job as well.
Okay.
I somehow forgot to mention that around the same time that I started Amazon, I started self-teaching code as well. So I am working as a web dev right now, full time, and it's it's not as strenuous as like driving out somewhere. I am able to work remotely, which helps a lot. So that's kind of why I've been able to do both so far.
Got it. Okay. And so it's day job by day and then Amazon after work.
That's right. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So you, I'm glad that that came up because a lot of people are in your situation. They're trying to scale Amazon and they're only able to give it side hustle hours, but they want to turn it into a business. And just based on the numbers that you're doing, the team that you have, you're able to do that. So can you just talk a little bit to that person? Like, what are the things that someone who's trying to scale up needs to think about in order to be able to build essentially a $2 million a year business while also having a day job?
I mean, I think the number one thing is you need to make time for whatever it is you want to accomplish. If it's Amazon, and you are busy from 9 to 7 p.m., you need to allocate like 1 or 2 hours um to do this every day. Maybe except honestly, I would even say like every single day, but like I don't. I'm of that opinion. You can take breaks, of course, and I did take breaks. But really, the what propelled me from 20K a month to around 80,000 a month. That was like the big jump for me. Doing online arbitrage was really just like just like getting away. I was able to hype myself up every day, and I think a lot of the time I did a cold shower just to like I don't know get my body freaked out. So I would just start like do long sessions of sourcing and online arbitrage. This is back then. I didn't have a team back then, so I would just source for a long time. Just at the time I was in a course. I was in Warner's course, and I was just applying what he taught, and I was just like constantly listening to past recordings. This he's telling me to source this way. I'm just gonna do it for 3 hours. I did that like almost every day for like 3 months straight. That's what kind of got me to 20K to 80K in OA.
Okay,
Yeah, that's really
awesome.
good.
And you talked about the admin hire, which I think is such an underrated hire that a lot of people don't talk about. Everyone talks about hiring sources, which is I think you should hire a sourcer before you hire an admin. But for people with a limited time, I think that's also so important just to keep the business running. So how did the admin hire give you time back or to just focus on the biggest activities in the business?
Yeah, so my admin saves me so much time. Biggest thing is, I'm still at the time I was still inputting like the purchases into just a sheet, just a normal Google sheet. Um, but then she would input those purchases into the prep center. It's a lot of manual work, and at the same time, we were also tracking like how many did the prep center receive everything or not, and then she would go back and like, okay, we have to email the supplier, get the if we got a shortage, we gotta order the rest in. If they won't order the rest in, we gotta get the refund. And that's honestly like the biggest blocker in OA is doing all the
Yep.
reimbursements or the I forget the word.
Reconciliation.
Reconciliation, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, keeping track of leakage, because that's so big in OA.
Yeah, it's definitely number one thing.
Yeah. And
well, number two, I guess, sourcing, besides sourcing.
Yeah, and we have a purchase tracker that we developed that is super helpful with that. That is actually linked in the description of this video. So if you're struggling with that in OA, just grab that, watch the video, and start using it in your business. It'll be super helpful. What are your goals for the rest of 2024?
Right now, my main focus is expanding to new platforms, specifically TikTok and Shopify. I think there's a lot of potential there. My other focus is landing brand direct accounts we're already purchasing from our distributors that we're happy with. And the goal is to land, we just want to become authorized sellers for these brands. Reason being is, I mean, Amazon is dangerous, I think, especially when you're trying to scale. What made me super realize that is back in last Q4, that's when people started getting hit with Section 3. I was one of those people, and my funds were held up by Amazon for a good like month, and it was maybe it was definitely the most stressful time since I've been doing Amazon. It's just having like your money's just sitting, you're not getting it. It's I was I don't want to go into it, but I was pretty negative at the time.
Oh my word.
I mean, that can just happen at any point. And
yeah,
I think I want to diversify into new markets and not have all my eggs in one basket. And second thing is, I want to be an authorized seller for these brands. That way, I want to basically have there be no chance of, us getting kicked off listings. So those are my main two focuses right now. We're not really that focused on growing revenue. We're just trying to learn these new platforms and becoming authorized sellers for these brands.
Yeah. So you're focused on de-risk.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Which is a similar stage to where we are as well. And so we call that platform risk. And the way I like to say it is we're playing in Uncle Jeff's playground, and Uncle Jeff sets the rules and he can kick you off with no remorse. And so figuring the best way how to play by the rules, and then also playing in other playgrounds, aka TikTok Shop, Walmart, Shopify, eBay. So that way, if God forbid something does happen to an Amazon account for a period of time, the business doesn't come to a screeching halt. And so with that, you said you're not looking to grow revenue, you're looking to grow horizontally and also strengthen your supply chain with those brand directs. Do you have any plans to grow your team anymore? Are you happy with where your team are, and you think that'll kind of get you to the place you need to be?
Right now, I'm pretty happy with my team. I think we're still going to do OA for a while. And my sourcers are also doing wholesale. I kind of have it where like each sourcer gets their own supplier, and I'll just have them, I do pay them on commission too, which is based off, we use Inventory Lab to track profitability by ASIN. So that's how we pay out commission. I'm pretty happy with it, and my admin's doing a good job. I think if we were ever to expand in the future, it would probably be more, it wouldn't be a sourcer, it would be more of an admin, because I don't really want to have like an enormous catalog. Like I think if I'm not really sure, but I think only having a few brands under your belt, like in terms of having a brand direct account, you're buying regularly from them, you're managing them. I would be pretty happy with that, honestly. If they're like medium sized brands, I think I would be happy. I don't think you wouldn't have that big of a catalog. So I think if I were to hire another team member, it would be something admin related, or like managing TikTok, Shopify, stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And that's kind of the direction we're moving in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now talk to us about how you kind of used coaching to accelerate kind of your growth over the years. We heard a little bit about kind of Warner's. We heard a little bit about Corey's program. Really kind of talk us through some of the things you learned that allowed you to catapult your business and excel so quickly.
Well, right off the bat, what was I gonna say? Right off the bat, specifically, should I even say this? I mean, the group doesn't exist anymore, but I mean, it still exists. It's just not active. But like, I would instantly be exposed to sites I've never heard of before, like instantly, because I didn't really have any exposure. I only had like my 1 or 2 sites. I kind of only looked at Kohl's when I was first starting, and I realized, wow, there's like so many sites to look at.
So many
And
websites. Oh my word.
there's a crazy amount of sites. So like I was instantly exposed to a lot, and there's just a lot to source. You know, like, oh, these guys are having sale. These guys are having sale. This is a pretty good sale. This is a pretty good sale. Like you got people left and right saying, like showing you where to look, right? So that was like already pretty big in itself. Like knowing where to look,
Dude,
and
that's
that
huge.
being given to you. Because like that's one of the reasons why I joined that group, because I didn't know where to look. I was just I was in my own bubble. Like, okay, I have Kohl's, but where else do I go? I don't really know where to go. So it kind of like that was the boost that I needed. But on top of that, just like lots of SOPs for Warner and his team, I was able to learn from him. And I mean, that's those are the 2 main things that I took away. And also, I also started hiring my first VA because I was joining that group as well. I definitely wouldn't have. It was a scary, actually. I've never hired anyone before that.
Yeah, super scary.
Your first hire is
Very
is
intimidating.
scary. Even I was doing a fast track. I didn't even have to do anything. It was still scary, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just like biggest thing was just getting out of your comfort zone. Like I didn't pull the trigger, but it wasn't an easy trigger, right? It's like you got to invest a certain amount of capital and then you got to commit to it, right? So I always had that pressure, like, okay, I spent this money, I better make use of it, or else what am I doing?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I kind of always had that thought in my head.
Yeah. Now, then as you actually transitioned out of, usually Warner's is for like RA, OA, and then as you transitioned out of those into wholesale, you used what, Corey, for that?
Yes, I actually joined 2 groups. It was Amazon List eSellers RI program, so I'm in that program, and I also used Corey's wholesale. I also did a lot of YouTube research as well, but I decided, you know, I just need more information, and I didn't really want to start off like not knowing what I was doing, right? Because you got some like no-brainer techniques here, like don't use Gmail, right? That's obvious to me, right? But maybe not for other people, right? So I just wanted to do it right, because you know I felt like it was a no-brainer, because you know I was already doing pretty well in profit-wise with OA, so why not just spend a little bit more, understand wholesale, like this is what I want to do long term, right? So that was an easy decision, honestly.
Yeah, I honestly don't understand. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people on the internet who are just like, you know, I only have like 2,000 to spend on a new business. Like, no way I'm going to do coaching because it's going to take up most of my bankroll and all this stuff. And then they go out and they make, you know, some of these mistakes where it's like, man, if you would have just took coaching, like you could have easily known like that was not like the right play. And then you could have honestly almost saved yourself some, not only time, but also money if you would have just took the coaching program, and then you would have learned so much more on top of that, that you would have been able to like see all these new opportunities and visit all these new websites that you would have never known before. And I think that's just like kind of crazy, because we took Miles's course, and man, like our growth is, shoot, we went from like 10K a month to like 60K a month to like 80K a month, like very quickly. And it was all because of Miles. Like me and Cajua were trying we were trying pretty hard in the beginning just to like see like different websites. Like we were checking websites, we were checking products, like we just couldn't seem to like get a good knack for what we were kind of looking for. But man, after we took Miles courses, it was just so much easier to do, that it was just, I look back on that and I'm like, I don't think I'll ever start anything ever in terms of business without probably looking at first like potential coaches before I even like think about like starting a new business or a new venture, just because, man, you can cut so many like very simple corners just from spending just a little bit, and you're most likely going to make it back if you can really like go into that business kind of like really focused on like learning that business completely. So yeah, coaching has just been incredible for us.
Yeah,
As for you,
100% agree.
as for you too, doing 200K months, that's absolutely crazy. All right, so
another thing with that is you also get access to networking too, because if you
Yeah.
don't pay for coaching, you just fail, and then you're just still by yourself. But if you get in it, whether it's coaching, a course, whatever, you pay, you get in, and then you also meet other people who are doing the same thing, which is so valuable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Also, just don't be careful with who you pick, though. You want to do some like extensive research, right? You need to, this is an important decision. Like, who are you going to choose, right? You need to at least a few weeks of like looking through people. Like, who do I really want to learn from, right?
Absolutely.
Like, are they respected by multiple people? Like, are they active in the community, right? Do they
That
seem
is
like they know what they're
so
talking about?
huge.
Or even
huge.
just talk to them, like DM them or like set up a call. Like, they'll be happy to, right? You need to judge for yourself, like who's the right fit.
100%,
100%.
because there are scammers, and like you said, just the right fit. You want to make sure you vibe with them, because there's no official Amazon accrediting body saying this is an approved coach and this isn't.
Yeah.
Anyone could be like, oh, I'm a coach.
What do you want? What you don't want to do is you go to a random website that you saw on like TikTok or something, and then you see a landing page and a video. They talk about like, oh, you could be financially free and passive income, and then sign up. Like, no, please don't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah,
Do some research.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
if they're claiming financial free or any of the Amazon automation, do not
Oh,
do
God.
Amazon automation.
Yeah.
100% scam every time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Keith, was there ever a time that you thought about like maybe quitting or starting another company throughout your Amazon journey?
Honestly, not really. I'm pretty focused on Amazon. I'll say that the closest I was to quitting was when I was I was under Section 3, and
Yeah.
well, I was just like, it was kind of I was going through a lot of nightmare scenarios, but I mean, really, I would be pretty screwed if like my account got suspended at that point, because I had just spent like a lot of money on like inventory, and look, I mean, naturally, I think anyone would be pretty stressed in that situation, but
Oh, 100%.
I've been pretty focused on just scaling Amazon. I think, especially right now, like crypto is a big thing, and I think a lot of people are having shiny object syndrome when it comes to this, and I kind of feel like that as well. Like maybe crypto looks pretty cool to get into, but I don't really know anything about it. I'm not educated, so how about I just keep putting my time into Amazon where I know it's going to pay off.
100%. Yeah. Now, how did you end up getting out of that Section 3?
I had help from Seller Basics, who I use right now as a retainer. So they'll help me with any account violations. So they helped me get out of that. 100% worth it. It's only like $100 a month.
Oh, that's a steal, especially with all that capital being locked up in Amazon. That's
Do they
pretty
help
good.
you with reimbursements as well, or you just use them for the account health side of things?
Just account health, I believe. Well, what do you mean by reimbursement? Like FBA shipments?
Yes.
I don't think they do that. No, I just right now I'm using Seller Investigators and my admin VA, so she'll file those cases for us.
Got it. Okay. Oh, that's funny, because I don't even think I realized in my head that Seller Basics and Seller Investigators are different, just because they both start with Seller.
Almost everything starts with Seller. You got Seller Snap, you got Seller
Dude,
Board,
it's so
SellerAmp?
impossible to keep track.
SellerAmp. That's everything.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Easy to confuse them.
Oh, so easy to confuse them. Well, Keith, thanks for coming on. Where can people find you on the internet?
I'm just on Twitter, Keith_FBA. I think that's it for now. I don't have an Instagram though.
Okay, gotcha. Are you thinking about starting anything like Instagram or YouTube or anything like that?
Maybe in the future. I mean, I have gotten like a few requests for coaching, but it's kind of the same. I'm of the person. Like my opinion is like I don't really want to. Like, if I were to do coaching, it's because I just only want to help people, right? Then I would be essentially sacrificing time I could be using on the business to help other people, right? Like, of course, I'd have to charge some money, but like I also don't really like the route of starting a Discord group, where I feel like I think Discord groups you can learn a lot, but at the same time, if I had to start over, I would prefer a one-on-one mentorship. I think that would be the best way for other people to grow. But so either way, I don't really feel like it's worth it for me at the time because I feel like there's a lot to do for us.
Gotcha. No, absolutely. Well, Keith, thanks for coming on. Guys, go check out Keith on Twitter, and we will see you on the next one.